Hello, my lovely, morbid, and awkward friends. How are you today? So, I hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Morning, day, noon, night. I hope you're having a lovely day. If you're new here, hey, what's up? My name is Liz, and this is Creating Crime Time, where I talk about a true crime case. Most of the time, I create a work of art at the same time. So if you're interested, hit the subscribe button wherever the button is down there. I awkwardly point in these videos, and generally, I point in the wrong direction. So just hit that red subscribe button, turn your bell notification on to all, and let's get into today's true crime case. Whoa, oh, oh. Da, 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 da. And also, welcome to the 25 Days of True Crime, if you are also new here. So, today's case, we are going to be talking about an unsolved murder, and this is about the boy in the box. Now, if you've never heard about this case has been literally... should I put this? He has been unidentified for over 64 years. And he was first found on the 25th of February 1957 in Fox Chase, Philadelphia. Now, this case is very sad because of the age, not only just the age, but when you hear about like what they found about his body after his discovery, it's very sad. Like, nobody ever wants to see a child die, and especially in the manner that this one did. So it's very like, it will hurt your heart. So if you're watching this, if you get squeamish or anything like that, you can either click out of the video, you can stay watching this video, whatever works for you. It's just a little disclaimer that I just wanted to add in there because this case can get a little gruesome. So, the body of a young boy was found wrapped in a blanket. Now, mind you, his body was naked, wrapped in a blanket, and he was inside of what was once a bassinet box that was sold by J.C. Penney. And what was noted about his body after discovery was that his hair had been recently cropped, and possibly after he died, and there was clumps of hair that just clung to his body. So it wasn't perfectly cut. It was just kind of hacked at a little bit. There was also severe signs of malnourishment with his body. He had surgical scars all over his body, like his ankle, his groin, and he had an L-shaped scar under his chin. The man that first discovered him was John Stachowicz. If I pronounced that last name wrong, I apologize. He was checking his muskrat traps, and he stumbled upon the body. Now, he feared that the police would confiscate his traps, and he didn't report it. A few days after this is when a college student named Frank Guthrum, he spotted a rabbit that was running in underbrush, and he stopped his car to investigate, and that's when he discovered the body of the boy. So Guthrum, just like Stachowicz, was reluctant to have any contact with the police, but he did report what he found the following day. And this happened after the disappearance of Mary Jane Baker. That's another case that I do plan on covering on this channel, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. I have a hard time when it comes to crime against children, and especially one as horrifying as this, because you never know. Obviously we've heard of popular cases Madeline McCann, and then like Elizabeth Smart, and then J.C. Lee Dugard, and then like Bella Bond. And cases like that literally terrifies me as a parent. And there could be one day where somebody can like break into your house and steal your child, and you will never know. It's very, and to live with that kind of fear, it really does suck as a parent, just saying. So when the police received the report, they opened the investigation on the 26th of February. So literally the day after, they took fingerprints from his body. Police at first were very optimistic that they would be able to identify him, but there was no one ever came forward with any information in regards to him. The case itself drew in media quickly. Like, they were all over this case. They printed about 400,000 flyers that depicted the boy's likeliness, and they were sent out and posted around the area, and that included every gas bill in Philadelphia. The crime scene was combed over and over again by over 270 different police officers and recruits from the police academy. And when they did this is when they discovered a man's blue corduroy cap, a child's scarf, and a man's white handkerchief with the letter G that was embroidered in it. And it was embroidered in the corner. You know how you can have things like personalized and stuff like that? This was one of those things that a person that knew about this case. But all of these clues led to nowhere. In this, obviously, you have clues. They're not leading you anywhere. It's going to be severely irritating for everybody involved in trying to finalize this case and identify this boy, get his remains back to his family. You know what I mean? Police also distributed a postmortem photograph of him fully dressed in a seated position. So this was popular like in the 1800s, where a family would often take pictures with their loved ones where they were propped up in a certain way to make them look like they were still living and dressed in clothing. The police did this hoping that it might lead to a clue and somebody would come forward, but nothing ever came forward. There was no inclination when it came to his identity, and unfortunately that's kind of how it's been since he was discovered. It's always been like here and there. Even with public's interest with this case, they have never been able to fully like identify who this boy is, and hence why it is still unsolved till this day. So on March 21st, 2016, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a forensic facial reconstruction of the boy, and they added him to their database. So hopefully on the it's a good way to help with this case. In August of 2018, Barbara Ray Venter, now she was very helpful with identifying the Golden State Killer, and she did this by using DNA profiling, and she's a genetic genealogist. And what she's done is she said that she's using the same method for the boy in the box. So she's hopeful that they will finally be able to identify him. And I mean, that would be amazing. So what we know is that this boy died from blunt force trauma. He was aged anywhere between 4 to 6, so they have his possible date, like year of birth, is 1951 to 1953, and that he died in February of 1957, so he died right before he was found. He was also about 3 feet and 6 inches in height. So over the years, there's been many theories when it comes to this case, and some that have helped and some that have been just like super bombs. Like, a dud. And this also adds to the interest, like public interest and media interest. So there is a theory that concerns a foster home that was located about 1.5 miles from the body. So in 1960, Remington Bristow, now he was an employee of the medical examiner's office, who doggedly pursued the case until his death until 1993. So there's some people that really tried the best that they could to solve this case, and he was one of them. And he contacted a New Jersey psychic, and this psychic told him to look for a house that matched the foster home. And when the psychic was brought to Philadelphia, specifically to the discovery site, this is when she led Bristow directly to the foster home. So upon attending the estate sale at the foster home, Bristow then discovered a bassinet similar to the one sold at JCPenney. He also discovered blankets hanging on a clothesline that were very similar to the ones on the boy's body and that he was wrapped in during the time that they discovered him. Bristow believed that the boy belonged to the stepdaughter of the man that ran the foster home. Then she disposed of his body so that the stepdaughter wouldn't be exposed as an unwed mother. He would then theorize that the boy's death was an accident. I'm sorry, it's not an accident if it's blunt force trauma. Like, I've seen pictures of what his head looked like. That is not an accident. I'm sorry, no. So despite any circumstantial evidence, the police weren't able to find a definitive link between the boy in the box and the foster family. Also, in 1998, the Lieutenant Tom Augustine, who was in charge of the investigation, and several members of a group of retired policemen and profilers interviewed the foster father and stepdaughter, of which he had married, and the foster home investigation was closed. So there's also another theory about a woman that's named Martha, or starts with an M. So this theory came about in February of 2002. And this is when a woman that was identified only by Martha. Police considered her story to be plausible, but they were very troubled by her testimony. She had a history of mental illness and claimed that her abusive mother had purchased the unknown boy, whose name was Jonathan, from his birth parents in the summer of 1954. And subsequently, this boy was subjected to extreme physical and sexual abuse for 2.5 years. One evening at dinner, the boy vomited up his meal, and this consisted of baked beans. And after this happened, he got a severe beating, and his head was slammed against the floor until he was semi-conscious. He was then given a bath, during which he died. These details matched info that only the coroner and the police knew about, including the stomach contents of the boy, which showed that it was baked beans, and his fingers were water wrinkled. So Martha's mother cut the boy's distinctive long hair, which kind of accounts for what they found with his hair, and this was in an effort to conceal his identity. Martha's mom forced her to assist her in dumping the body in the Fox Chase area. Then Martha said that as they were preparing to remove the boy's body from the trunk of the car, a passing male motorist pulled alongside to inquire whether they needed help. Martha was ordered to stand in front of the car's license plate to shield it. That way he wouldn't be able to recognize the plate. And this, when she was doing that, her mother was trying to convince the guy that there wasn't an issue. The man would eventually drive off. So this story corroborated confidential testimony that was given by a male witness in 1957 who said that the body had been placed in a box previously discarded at the scene. And in spite of Martha's confession, police were unable to verify her story. Neighbors who had access to Martha's house during the time denied that there was a young boy living there and dismissed M's claims as being ridiculous. There's also another theory, and this was by forensic artist Frank Bender, and his theory is that the boy was raised to be a girl, and the child's unprofessional haircut, which appeared to be performed in like haste, so super quick, and as well as the way that his eyebrows were styled. And because of all of these is what gave him the summation that it's possible the victim was raised as a girl. In 2008, Bender released a sketch of an unidentified child with long hair reflecting strands found on the body. In 2016, two writers from LA, well, one from LA and one from New York, explained that they believe that they had discovered a potential identity from Memphis, Tennessee, and requested the DNA to be compared between the family members and the child. So the lead was originally discovered by a Philadelphia man who was introduced to both of these writers. These two men were introduced, and the lead was discovered by a Philadelphia man, and then it was developed and presented. And with the help of one of the writers, he went to the Philadelphia Police Department and that group of retired policemen and profilers. And this was in early 2013 when this happened. In December of 2013, one of the writers became aware of a lead and agreed to help the man in Philadelphia and agreed to help obtain DNA from this particular family member in January of 2014. This was quickly sent to the Philadelphia PD, and then local authorities confirmed that they would investigate the lead, but they said they would need to do more research on the circumstances surrounding the link and to Memphis before comparing it to, obviously, this case to the DNA. Now, in December of 2017, Sergeant Bob Kohlmeyer confirmed that the DNA taken from the Memphis man was compared to the Fox Chase boy, and there wasn't a connection. So originally, the boy in the box was buried in a potter's field. Now, if you don't know what a potter's field is, it's basically like a pauper's field or a poor man's field. In 1998, his body was exhumed as in the purpose of extracting DNA from his body, which was obtained from enamel on one of his teeth. He was then reburied at the Ivy Hill Cemetery in Cedarbrook, Philadelphia, which was a donated large plot. The coffin, the headstone, the funeral service were all donated by the son of a man who had buried the boy in 1957. There was a significant public attendance. Media coverage was at the reburial. The gravestone is quite large, and it bears the words "America's Unknown Child." And city residents still to this day go to his grave, and they decorate it with flowers and stuffed animals because this poor boy suffered due to negligence, and it's just very sad. Yeah, so I hope you guys take something from this case. I definitely did when I was researching this, because this is not a case that you can take lightly due to just how horrific people can be, especially when it comes to children. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in my next video for the 25 Days of True Crime. Bye!